We can begin the process of making our marinade by putting all the ingredients in a large mixing bowl. 1 cup of soy sauce, oyster sauce, freshly diced tomatoes, minced garlic, 3 pieces of bay leaves, onion, ground black pepper, and salt to taste. Now it's time to mix all of our ingredients. And start adding a splash of Knorr seasoning, and 2 tablespoons of cane vinegar or any other type of vinegar that is readily available in our kitchen. This will give our marinade an extra kick of flavor that will surely make our dish even more delicious. Once we have finished preparing the marinade, we can proceed to incorporate it into the pork and blend the ingredients thoroughly, making sure that the flavors are well distributed and balanced. At this point, we can also add the sliced clemency to enhance the taste and create a delectable and appetizing meal. The pork should then be allowed to marinate for a minimum of 3 hours to fully absorb the flavors, but ideally overnight in the refrigerator for maximum flavor infusion. At this stage, kindly show your support by liking, following, and sharing. Also, remember to click on the subscribe button. The time has finally arrived to begin cooking our delicious pork dish. First, we need to remove the pork from the marinade and carefully remove any leftover bits of marinade sticking onto the meat. It's crucial that we ensure the pork is fully dry before searing it, as any excess moisture can interfere with the searing process. While we wait for the pork to dry, let's take a moment to enhance the flavors of our marinade. One great way to do this is by squeezing the calamansi from the marinade mixture. Be sure to strain out any seeds or pulp from the calamansi juice before adding it to the marinade. Once we've added the calamansi juice, we can blend the marinade in a blender or food processor to create a smoother, creamier consistency. This will help ensure that the flavors are evenly distributed throughout the dish, and will give the pork a more cohesive, well-rounded taste. Then set aside. We can move on to the next stage, which involves pan-searing our pork. This is an important step that will impart a delicious flavor and crispy texture to the pork. Once we have achieved the desired level of doneness, we can then proceed to the next step. In this step, we will be using the same wok that we used for searing the pork. We need to remove some of the oil from the wok before we start sautéing the minced garlic and onion. This will help us achieve a more balanced and flavorful dish. After we have sautéed the garlic and onion, we can add the marinated sauce that we blended earlier. This sauce is a key component of the dish and will provide a depth of flavor to the pork. As we cook the sauce, it will start to boil and become thicker. This is the time when we can add the seared pork to the wok. We need to make sure that the pork is fully coated in the sauce and let it cook for about 45 minutes. This will ensure that the pork is cooked through and becomes tender. It is important to note that cooking times may vary depending on the size and thickness of the pork pieces. It is always a good idea to check the pork periodically to ensure that it is cooking evenly and does not overcook. Once the pork is fully cooked, we can now remove the pork from its sauce, and let it rest for a few minutes. This will allow the flavors to melt together and make the dish even more delicious. While we're waiting for the sauce to reduce, please leave a comment below and tell us your opinion about our dish. To enhance the flavor and texture of our pork dish, we sear it again in a pan just before serving it to our guests. This creates a crispy layer on the outside of the pork, which adds to its overall deliciousness. We then slice the pork and pour sauce over it. Although this recipe requires some extra time and effort, the final outcome is definitely worth it.